When's the last time you seen Satan? Okay. When's the last time you heard his voice? So how does he work? Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Espresso with Sky, giving you a fresh perspective on faith, life, God, and the Bible. I am Pastor Sky, and these are my two sidekicks. Hope you guys are having an awesome week. Yes, if you haven't done so, go ahead, subscribe, like, press all those crazy buttons, but the most important thing is, leave a comment below with your honest opinion on today's topic. And yes, you can support our ministry on PayPal or buymeacoffee.com. So, let's get into today's topic about Satan and how he works. Now, Satan, super interesting character in the Bible, the arch nemesis of God and of all humankind. But just like God, he is unseen and unheard, which makes it really difficult for us to figure out how does he work. So we're going to start off with a Bible verse that gives us a hint of what is it that Satan is looking for in you. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, it says to be alert and sober. But then what does it say? It says Satan is like a lion, a prowling lion. Now, I want you to think about this. How do lions hunt their prey? They're in the tall grass, and they're watching and watching. They'll see zebras and gazelles and giraffes or whatever it is. But what are they looking for? Are they looking for the strongest zebra, the strongest gazelle, or are they looking for the weakest? They look for the weakest and they only hunt and focus on that one. In the same way too, this is the big hint. How Satan works on us is he's looking for our weak points. So I'm going to go over 3 weak points that we have that allows Satan to work within us. All right. So let's get into it and let's talk about those 3 things. Let's look at the first weakness that we have that Satan uses against us, and that is things that you like. Now, more than just liking, it's liking too much or more than you actually should. It could be people, places, things, materials, it could be anything. Now, here's the thing. When you begin to like something way too much more than you should, you begin to get this emotional attachment to it. How do you know? Well, if you don't get it, you get angry, you get mad, and you're so obsessed with it that you start sacrificing things you shouldn't, like family or friends or things like school and studying. Things are a lot more important. And we have to realize if you have something you like too much, this is what Satan uses. And I want all of you guys to think about that. What is the thing that you like way more than you should? That makes you emotional when people are in your way. They don't allow you to get it. Or when you don't get it, you become really emotional. Now, being emotionally attached to something is not bad. It's just that when it gets extreme, at the extremes of emotion, you lose control. When you're too sad, you become depressed. And in that state, you can't do anything. When you're too happy, too joyful, what happens? People get overconfident and sometimes even arrogant. So when we think about this too, we always want to be steady in our emotions, but we don't want to have something we love or like too much than we should. Now, let me give you an example of someone in the Bible, Judas Iscariot. Well, what's the thing that he liked more than anything else? What was his temptation? What was his weakness? It was money. In John chapter 12, verse 6, it says that Judas was in charge of keeping the money for all the disciples and Jesus. And guess what? He took from it freely. He liked money a little bit too much, and Satan used that against him and kept using it against him until John chapter 13, verse 2, what does it say? Satan started to influence Judas Iscariot to betray Jesus. And then you go down to John chapter 13, verse 27. At that point, Satan enters him and he finally went off to betray Jesus. That's what Satan can do in our lives too when you show him the weakness of liking something too much, or other people would call this idolizing them, putting it above God. All right, so that's the first one, things that you like too much. The second weakness that Satan uses against us is ignorance. It's about what we don't know. And these are the things that cause terrible mistakes and bad decisions. If you look at Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, it says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." They're not just hurt, they are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. This is what people tend to do. We don't know what to do in a situation. We don't have full knowledge. We're ignorant. So what we do is we ask someone else. And guess what? This person doesn't even know what they should do with their life, but we're going to ask them to make the decision for my life. And what ends up happening is we follow the mob, right? There we go, mob mentality. Everyone is thinking the same way with only bits and pieces of information, and no one has full truth. And what we do is we make even worse mistakes. Now, how bad do those mistakes get? If you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 8, how bad does it get? It says, if they knew, they wouldn't have crucified Jesus. How bad can it get worse than that? To crucify the Messiah, to kill the Messiah? Because of their ignorance, it caused them to do something they never would have done, the biggest mistake of their life. Think about this carefully, right? Think about this really carefully. If you knew that this person, there's Jesus, and you're like, oh, the Messiah, would you be like, oh, the Messiah, we should kill him? Would you actually think that? It's the craziest thing to think. And that's why in Luke chapter 23, verse 34, what does Jesus say? Jesus says, forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they're doing. It's because of ignorance they're doing it that they even need forgiveness from Jesus. He's like, God, they don't know. They're ignorant. Please forgive them. Ignorance can change your fate. Ignorance can make you do the things you've never wanted to do. The big, just craziest mistakes that you regret for the rest of your life. Ignorance is the second mistake that causes Satan to use us in the wrong way. The third and final weakness I want to talk about today is the most important one. It's the one that Satan uses the most, and it is the most effective one. People. And not just any random people in our life. We're talking about the people who affect us the most, that can change our hearts and minds, who we look to for advice. Who are they? They are the ones we love. This is the single most effective way Satan uses people against us in our life. Let me give you two examples in the Bible. The first one is in Job chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. Who was Job listening to? It was his close friends, the people that were by his side, the people that he trusts, the people that support him. And what were they doing? They were accusing him of being a sinner. Who was Satan using? The closest people to him. What about Jesus? Jesus was in the same position. In Matthew 16:23, Jesus was pouring his heart out to his disciples and telling them, guess what? I'm going to die. And Peter stands up and says, never, you will never die. And Jesus says, behind me, Satan. Now, was Peter Satan? And the answer is absolutely not. But who was Satan using to get to Jesus? It was the people that were closest to his heart, that would change or even shake his heart in that sense. It was the closest people to him. And who was Satan using? He was using Peter, the prime disciple. So when you look in your lives too, just because someone is Christian, just because someone has faith in God doesn't mean they can't be compromised by Satan. Yeah, we all have these weaknesses. If Christians couldn't be compromised by Satan, then why would the Bible tell us be alert and sober? Because the devil is prowling around like a lion. He's saying that, yeah, he's prowling to look for us, even those who believe. And if we let our weaknesses out and we don't control ourselves, then Satan will even use us in that moment. So I hope that these things will help you to understand the weaknesses that we have. Just 3 of them. There's so many more. But we're only looking at 3 of them today. And look at those 3 things and say, what are the things that I have to watch out for? Because I don't want to be used by Satan, and I don't want Satan to use people against me. So as 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 says, those first 4 words, be alert and sober. And that's what we need to be. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's topic on Satan and how he works. If you guys have any comments, please give your honest opinion in the comments below. Would love to hear it. Everyone have an amazing and awesome week, and we'll see you guys again next week. Pastor Sky, it's Chewy, John Wick. See you guys again. Bye-bye.